The sun hung low over the crowded streets of ancient Rome, painting the city with hues of gold and crimson. Market sellers shouted their wares to passers-by, and the air was thick with the rich scent of spices and freshly baked bread. Marcus, a lauded soldier returned from distant campaigns, strolled through the bustling heart of the city, his thoughts strained to the comforts he had earned in this time of peace. His revelry was interrupted by the frantic approach of an elderly priest, robes in disarray, breathing heavy with urgency. "Marcus!" the priest called, clutching a bundle of scrolls to his chest. The streets seemed to pause around them, the relentless Roman energy momentarily stilled. "Father Antonius," Marcus greeted, grinning at the familiar face. But the stern intensity in the priest's eyes wiped the smile from his face. "These scrolls," Antonius gasped, thrusting them into Marcus's hands, "they are prophetic. Warnings from the gods themselves." Marcus furrowed his brow, skepticism clouding his mind. Yet, as his fingers brushed the old parchment, a chill crept up his spine, a peculiar sensation that hinted at something beyond understanding. "What do they say?" Marcus asked, his voice now edged with concern. "A great wrath is to come, unless the omens are heeded. Rome itself is at stake," Antonius replied, his voice low, laden with fear and urgency. "The omens have named you, Marcus. You must act before it is too late." Conflicted, Marcus turned his gaze towards the imperial palace, imagining the corridors where the emperor and senate obliviously governed. Doubt gnawed at his resolve. They knew nothing of this threat, should he risk his standing for a string of cryptic words. Yet beneath his skepticism roiled an unsettling connection to the warnings, a resonance that refused to be ignored. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the ancient stones, Marcus felt the weight of his decision. The world around him resumed its vibrant pulse, but he remained still, the scrolls heavy in his hands, a harbinger of events he could sense but not yet see. His heart troubled, Marcus knew his path was irrevocably altered. The dawn was scarcely more than a blush in the sky when Marcus set out for Delphi, the promise of answers pulling him inexorably towards the fabled oracle. His journey led him through rugged countryside and shadowed groves, where whispers of ancient magics seemed to brush against him like a cold wind. The road was fraught with mysterious encounters. Beneath the dense canopy of a forgotten woodland, a phantom beast crossed his path, its eyes glowing with preternatural light. Startled, Marcus watched as it vanished into mist, leaving behind an eerie silence that hummed with unspoken mysteries. As Delphi's sacred precinct loomed before him, Marcus felt an inexplicable stirring within, a raw energy that had slept beneath the veneer of his soldier's discipline. The oracle's sanctum was thick with incense, shadows swirling in the corners, whispering secrets. "You seek answers that the world will not yield freely," the oracle intoned, her voice an ethereal echo. She swept across the chamber, eyes piercing, as if to unearth the truths buried in his soul. Marcus knelt, the stone chill and smooth against his palms. "I seek to know the truth of these prophecies," he spoke, mindful of the hidden powers in the oracle's seemingly frail form. "The gods send warnings I do not understand." The oracle's gaze was unwavering. "The world is not as you have known it, Marcus. See beyond the veil." Her words hung heavy with portent, and at that moment, Marcus felt a shift, as if boundaries within him were crumbling. His awakening was met with both awe and confusion, a kaleidoscope of visions rushed through him, a montage of mystical creatures, foreign tongues, and dark manifestations. In this newfound awareness, Marcus perceived the machinations of Senator Lucius, a man weaving unrest, allying with shadowed figures whose hunger for power threatened to unravel Rome itself. A sinister clarity gripped him. Lucius was no mere man, but a pawn to untold entities of dark mythos, poised to exploit the growing discord. Swelling with a renewed sense of purpose, Marcus rose, gratitude in his eyes as he thanked the oracle. "I understand my path clearer now," he whispered, resolute. As he stepped back into the light of day, the intangible prowess flickering to life, Marcus knew he was no longer merely a soldier. He was a guardian of truths that defied Rome's waking reality. The night was dark, and the air sharp with the coming winter as Marcus traversed the edge of Rome. He gathered allies not on battlegrounds of honor, but in back alleys and hidden enclaves, where whispers of the old ways still lived, guarded by the disenfranchised. A tavern at the city's edge became his sanctuary, filled with the scent of strong ale and the sound of hushed conversation. Shadows flitted across the walls, faces appeared and disappeared in the flicker of torchlight, each face holding secrets and allegiances tethered to the heartbeats beneath worn cloaks. Amidst them was Calpurnia, a former priestess of a now forgotten goddess, her eyes gleaming with the knowledge of times past. "These powers, they will ask more of you than you know," she warned, her voice quiet yet unyielding. Marcus nodded, understanding the gravity of her words. "I have seen things, felt them stirring within," he confessed, the sensation of those dormant powers now an ever-present current, both electrifying and terrifying. Calpurnia's gaze was intense, her fingers brushing against Marcus's hand. "Use them wisely, or they will consume you. Remember, there is a price." Her words etched into his heart. Marcus turned his focus to the vision that plagued him. The grandeur of Rome lay in ruins, flames licking at statues, the scent of smoke clinging to the air, and the cries of its people a haunting symphony. It was a future he could not allow to come to pass. Temptation gnawed at the edges of his resolve, the seductive allure of power whispering promises of easy victories and swift solutions. Every shadow, every creak of the city seemed to beckon him to embrace the prowess he wielded. But Marcus fought his desires, the image of a fallen Rome ever present in his mind. Each day demanded more from him as his old life slipped further away, camaraderie replaced by duty, laughter stifled by the weight of the future. To save Rome, Marcus, you must let go of what binds you to it, Calpurnia spoke, her voice laced with sadness. In her words echoed a truth Marcus had not wanted to face. Yet, resolve hardened within him, reshaped by sacrifice. With his heart heavy and his path set, he stepped from the tavern into the night. Rome sprawled before him, an empire on the brink, unaware of the forces aligning against it. The scent of lavender and myrrh filled the air as Marcus sat beneath the arch of a temple garden, the statue of a goddess looking down upon him with eternal observation. The day's events weighed heavily, Lucius was closer to fulfilling his bid for power, and the city simmered in palpable unrest. It was here amid the sacred stones and whispering leaves that Marcus encountered the goddess, a figure of breathtaking beauty, her features indistinct yet commanding. She emerged from the dusk like a memory half-formed. "You tread a path of peril, mortal," she spoke, her voice echoing like a melody across the ages. "I seek to protect Rome," Marcus replied, his heart pounding with the nerves of the divine presence. "To hold back those who threaten it." Her smile was enigmatic, a mix of warmth and shadows. "The gods themselves are torn," she said, fingers brushing the air as if shaping the world from invisible clay. "Your fate and that of your people are intertwined." The revelation struck Marcus with the weight of divine truth. The gods, keepers of cosmic balance, played their games above the mortal realm, and within their capricious designs lay the seeds of Rome's struggle. "I yearn to be more than a pawn," Marcus declared, memories of battles fought and friends lost flooding his mind. "Help me understand, guide me, if it is within your will." The goddess's eyes held a flicker of compassion, an acknowledgement of his trials. "Balance the scales, Marcus. Your heart will be your guide." An emboldened purpose coursed through him, intertwining with a foreboding understanding. The scale of what was at stake with Lucius's encroachment forced choices no man should bear alone. The intricate dance of his actions against the backdrop of divine wills posed impossible decisions. With the goddess's words a whisper hanging in the air, Marcus knew he faced a tempest of challenges. The demands of gods pulled against the imminent human peril, leading him to choose a path fraught with sacrifice and profound consequence. Rising with renewed intent, Marcus accepted the gravity of his role. The night, cloaked in the colors of twilight, seemed to pulse with a life of its own as he made his vow to harness both human and divine to avert Rome's impending doom, a burden heavy, but one he was determined to bear. The heart of Rome was alive with a frenzy of battle as Marcus led his motley group through the labyrinth of marble streets. The crisp clang of swords echoed off stone facades, mingling with the harsh cries of combatants. Smoke rose like a malevolent spirit, twisting against the deep, blue sky. Senator Lucius, his ambitions laid bare, had summoned his forces, unleashing chaos as a means to claim dominion over the city. But Marcus, now more than a mere soldier, pressed forward, a beacon of defiance amidst the turmoil. The air was thick with the coppery scent of blood and the bitter tang of burned wood. Amidst the pandemonium, Marcus's voice rang out, "For Rome. For the truth we seek." The rallying cry ignited a fierce courage among his allies, men and women who had sworn to the cause, along with creatures of legend who moved with power and mystery on their flank. The clash reached a fever pitch as Marcus caught sight of Lucius across the fray, his visage a mask of controlled fury. Their eyes locked, a silent recognition of the inevitable showdown between them. "You cannot win, Marcus," Lucius taunted, voice dripping with arrogance. "This city belongs to me by right of power." Marcus stepped forward, the ground trembling beneath the surge of his own burgeoning power, the divine pulse of it harmonizing with his mortal fury. "You fight not for Rome, but for your own ambition," Marcus retorted, steel in his voice as cold as the blade in his hand. Their struggle unfolded amidst the melee, each parry and thrust deliberate, weighted with the fate of Rome. Marcus's heart pounded, not out of fear, but from the recognition that this was the crux of his journey, a confrontation where the legitimacy of his choices would find their reckoning. As the battle raged around them, Marcus perceived the threads of deception, veils cast by elusive forces greater than Lucius himself. A vision surged within him, illuminating the twisted truths Lucius had hidden behind, the gods' subtle betrayals and hidden wagers. In a moment of clarity, Marcus drew power from the very fabric of myth and reality entwined around him, breaking Lucius's stance. His voice, strong and undeniable, surged above the din. "Rome stands not for the powerful, but for its people and their freedom." As light pooled beneath his outstretched hand, Marcus shattered the bindings of deception woven by Lucius's dark allies, and in their unraveling came turning of the tide. In the battle's climax, a profound hush fell over the scene, the air thick with the scent of dust and sorrow. Marcus, standing amidst the debris of ambition and ruin, found himself reaching into the well of his own spirit, beyond the limits of flesh and mortality. Before him, Lucius staggered, the light dimmed in his once ruthless eyes. "You, too, are mortal," Lucius rasped, desperation leaking through his facade. Marcus met his gaze, feeling the weight of his burdens and the power that buzzed in his blood like a living current. He remembered the goddess's counsel, the deep lessons learned from the wisest of Rome, and the courage of those who had fallen for this cause. "I am mortal," Marcus admitted, a quiet fierceness coloring his words. "But Rome is eternal. And today, I stand its guardian." Summoning the reluctant strength of the gods, Marcus wove a tapestry of divine and earthly power, a spectacle that erupted into radiance, cleansing the heart of the city. The beasts of myth roared approval, their bonds with him solidified not by compulsion but mutual respect. Lucius, caught in the maelstrom, faltered. The darkness he had shackled himself to dissipated like smoke on the breeze, leaving only the man behind, a man whose ambitions had consumed him, now extinguished by the brighter flame of Marcus's resolve. With the battle won, Rome's streets stilled, Marcus stood amid the ruins, a victorious yet solitary figure. The cost was steep, the lives of trusted comrades etched on his heart forever. Tears mingled with the grime on his cheeks as he faced their sacrifices, their legacies shaping his resolve. The city lay quiet, a new dawn inching across the skyline. Marcus exhaled, a slow breath that carried with it the weight of leadership thrust upon him by both gods and fate. The divine conflux within him ebbed, leaving Marcus a changed man, yet profoundly connected to everything around him. Now, with clarity and purpose, Marcus knew his oath to Rome was an enduring vow, a conservation of balance that demanded strength and compassion in equal measure. As the survivors gathered, sharing in both triumph and grief, Marcus silently pledged to lead with the values he had fought for, freedom and justice, tempered by the knowledge of how perilously close they had come to losing everything they held dear. The first light of morning swept across Rome like the gentle strokes of a painter's brush, casting soft gold light upon the remnants of the previous day's battle. Marcus stood amid the shattered marble and overturned carts, the city still in the throes of quiet recovery. The air was crisp and clean, filled with the scents of salves and burning herbs used to tend to the wounded. A hushed reverence enveloped the city, broken only by the muted sounds of survivors piecing together what remained. Marcus paused, reflecting on the journey that had brought him here, a journey that stripped him of the simple soldier's life and reshaped him as a protector of Rome. The dual nature of power, both a boon and a burden, lay heavy on his shoulders, the responsibility vast but familiar. Marcus, a voice called, pulling him from his reverie. It was Calpurnia, eyes weary yet glinting with respect and understanding. What now for the guardian of Rome? He smiled, though it was tinged with the shadow of his internal struggle. A new role, he replied, gazing towards the horizon where the sun kissed the peaks of distant hills. To hold the balance, to honor those lost, and to ensure the gods remember their promises. As he spoke, he felt the shift within, not just power, but understanding. A realization that the harmony between mortal and divine realms required vigilance, and that he, marked by these events, must be the point of equilibrium. The Senate, and the people, once oblivious to the unseen threats around them, would look to Marcus now, finding a leader forged in the crucible of adversity. A soldier no longer, but a guardian, a title both challenging and profoundly humbling. He knelt briefly, pressing his hands to the cool stones of the city he had vowed to protect. Breathing deeply, Marcus promised silently to shepherd Rome into this new era, not alone, but with the guidance of those whose sacrifices whispered on the wind. With resolve tempering his step, Marcus rose, turning to oversee the reconstruction, the whispers of the past lost to the dawn of the empire's promising transformation. The sun illuminated the path forward as Marcus embraced his destiny, standing at the confluence of human endeavor and divine will, as was his charge. Together with Rome, as steadfast and unyielding as the stones beneath his feet, they would rise, beginning